I've never seen him do anything like that to any witness that came before us here. We might have issues with general. If we have issues, let's raise them in a professional manner.
General Phahlane, I've also been in practice for a number of years. And I've also done my fair share of criminal matters. You've heard of pointing out in criminal matters.
Chair, I'm not going to respond to that one because it's an obvious thing in the police environment, in investigations.
And who does the pointing out?
Witness.
Witnesses. And how do they do it? They do it in the presence of the police. They do it in the presence of an investigating officer, especially a murder scene or where an offense was committed in rape cases.
May you please get closer to the microphone? Yes, sir.
So witnesses, no, not only witnesses, but complainants. It depends obviously on the nature. I think we can agree it depends on the nature of the complaint, the nature of the charge that's been laid. That complainants and witnesses routinely accompany the police or a detective investigating a matter to a particular crime scene or pointing out.
SC. Chair, I will unfortunately not respond to that question.
Okay, then we
Because
can move on
I'm
if you don't want to
dealing
respond.
with the specific case here. Paul O'Sullivan at my place, Paul O'Sullivan being involved with IPID, Paul O'Sullivan being a complainant, an investigating officer, and everything else that is there. The justification of that conduct, the attack on me, which I must sit through and be told it sounds okay, I will never respond to it.
So here's a complainant. He is Paul O'Sullivan. He's not the investigator because the matter is being investigated by IPID. He goes and he goes with the IPID investigators to your place to show them this is your place. And they take photographs of your place. What is irregular about that? I submit to you that there's nothing irregular about it. It is quite normal. I don't hold the brief. Let me be very clear. I don't hold the brief for O'Sullivan.
No, I have suspicions. I truly have suspicions.
Yes,
Chair,
that is the
I
truth,
want
no evidence.
that
It's based
SE
on speculation.
to show me
suspicion.
one sworn affidavit in any of the dockets where Paul O'Sullivan is a complainant. One. I'm not asking for two. Show me one. Which case number?
Now, that is exactly the point, General Phahlane. You face a number of cases involving corruption, and I'm going to deal with it. And Mr. O'Sullivan is not the complainant. He's not a witness in those cases. This is a complete distraction in relation to those corruption charges that you are facing. It's not about O'Sullivan. It's about you.
Chair, I need protection, and I'm not going to respond to that,
Yes.
no matter
Yes.
how loud
Yes.
you ask that question.
I want us to do this.
If I may move on from there. I think
No,
I've made my
before
point.
you move on.
Yeah.
What we want in these proceedings is what we want. An evidence leader and a witness. We don't want personalities. And I have said it many times, I thought you understood. When we say the honorable members of this National Assembly are sitting here very patiently, so that you can help us for these meetings to proceed. And And we don't make judgments in this proceedings, Senior Counsel. We don't make judgments. If we bring a witness here to come and accuse him or her, I don't think it's a fair statement to make, to say to the witness that this is not about Paul O'Sullivan, it's about you. That statement is misplaced. If there are questions that we want to put on General Phahlane for him to respond, or there are allegations of corruption against him, let's state the questions. Say, there is this allegation that you took 10 rand of the SAPS. What is your response? But to say to him that you are now trying to deflect attention from yourself to somebody is unfortunate. And I don't think the committee can agree to that. If there is any, and for sure, consciously you also understand that that statement does not belong here, because you even said it yourself that you don't hold a brief from O'Sullivan. Consciously or subconsciously, you understood that you said something that you were not supposed to have said. So I humbly request that if there are any allegations that we want to probe, allegations of corruption, let's state those matters and allow the general to respond as a brief. Honorable Skosan.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I just wanted to make a follow-up question to the General. That when the IDEC and Paul O'Sullivan went to your house, because you got a call, as you articulated to us that you were in Wamhlanga and you went to Polokwane. Paul O'Sullivan, when he came to your house, he came as a complainant, or he came as we know now that he's in control of the IDEC and other state institutions in the security, like SAPS, IPAD, and I think it's not disputable now. Now, you said it very clear that it's unusual that a complainant, I guess the police as well, if they get the address, they don't need Paul O'Sullivan to accompany them anyway. Now, in your experience, because as you said, you started many years ago as a police constable, up to the rank where you are before you set home. You still insist that it is not common for, in particular in your case, I don't want to deviate from your case, or Paul O'Sullivan went into your house for a particular reason. It was not about only taking pictures. It was about you, as he was boasted to say he has removed police commissioners in this country. What's your take on that?
Chair, I want to respond to that question by making reference to the IPID Act. And I'll answer it to the end. IPID Act, which is sitting on page 51 of my affidavit. Paragraph 1172, but I'm going to go straight to 2, which is there on page 51. A person appointed as an investigator must have at least a grade 12 certificate or a relevant diploma or degree. B, say must have knowledge and relevant experience of criminal investigation or any other relevant experience. 3, say any person may not be appointed as an investigator unless information with respect to that person has been gathered in an appropriate security screening investigation as prescribed by the minister. The security screening investigation contemplated in subsection 3 must be done in conjunction with the National Intelligence Agency as referred to in section 3 of the Intelligence Services Act of 2002. 5 say the executive director or official so delegated by him or her must issue a security screening certificate in respect of such person, wherein it is certified that such a person has successfully undergone a security clearance and is appointed as an investigator in terms of this act. If Mr. Paul O'Sullivan has got a security clearance, that makes him an investigating officer. For a moment, forget that he's a complainant. But now you know that he has been investigating me, or he is the boss of IPIT and IDEC when they do investigations. I have testified, and there are affidavits to that effect. I went through Brigadier Ngube's affidavit, who was the investigating officer in the matter. I went through extracts of what the witnesses are saying. And these witnesses are saying, Paul O'Sullivan and Sarah Jane Trent were taking statements from them. That's what the statements are saying. If we forget for a moment that he's not an investigating officer, if the justification that when you do pointing out, blah, 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 you bring people, what kind of a pointing out is being done by somebody who purports to be a complainant, and that person takes statements? I have testified to that effect.
Which indicates that this constitutes a security threat.
Chair, I know I'm not an honorable member, but
No, Chair, just before the General.
Honorable Malema, Honorable Skosana.
General, where they were making you to read comments and recommendations, down there, there is a comment that is handwritten. Can you please read it aloud for me?
thanks, Honorable Malema. I actually read this earlier because this is my
No,
evidence.
in this context, can you read it again?
So, this is a serious breach of the security of the acting national commissioner and need a criminal case to be investigated on the matter. This must be conducted as soon as possible.
So how is that not a security threat on a senior police officer? How is that not read to be a security threat on a national police officer? Is that not a way of saying there is a threat on the life of the acting national police commissioner? Is that your understanding? Because that's my understanding.
That's exactly my understanding, and I'm being told I'm relying on it. I did not have to rely on this document because in the first place, it's not addressed to me. And the investigation that was done, the criminal investigation, is informed by this report. That's why I earlier said, I don't know. It was for that reason that I said there's Lieutenant General, blah, 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 you get to a colonel. I was told about a Colonel Kruger here that I don't even know. But here is the report, which counsel selectively reads and exclude the comments which are in there to the person that it was addressed to, because this thing is addressed to the acting head, counter and security intelligence, crime intelligence, and to the section commander, counterintelligence investigations, crime intelligence. So it is there.
No, Chair, I raised this issue because it was deliberately left out, but there's a comment which I wanted to bring to your attention, which the SC made to the General, that there are cases, and the General asked the question, which cases, and he said, I'm going to come back later on those issues, maybe on another day, leaving that dark cloud hanging Because if he had a case to raise, that there's a case opened against the general, you can't make a sweeping statement like that and leave it. The second point I want to register is that his attitude against the general is so bad. It's not of a person who's leading evidence. It's of a person who's interrogating the witness. And I don't know how he gets to be addressed about that, because as a chair, I think at some point you have to intervene. Because we have never seen this. Repeatedly, you have had to remind them that they are not members of parliament. We are members of parliament. And then general response to the attitude of our leader of evidence. I've never seen him do anything like that to any witness that came before us here. We might have issues with general. If we have issues, let's raise them in a professional manner and not in a manner that we invite a person to come and help us here and get to humiliate him in a manner he's being humiliated. He's just being very kind. If it was me on the other side, this thing would have stopped long time ago.
Honorable Skosana.